I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Well, I got a great show for you today with some wonderful weird stuff.
Something interesting that was shown to me by, I'm going to call them CJ because their screen name is really long, and I can't really pronounce it. But they pointed out to me that in the Photodrama of Creation, if you look at this one part, it's towards the end of the first part, you'll see this map of the universe, or not universe, but our galaxy or whatever. I'm not an astronomer, so I mean, forgive me. I'm a layman at best. If you look at this, what they pointed out to me that's interesting is you see 12 orbits. And what they pointed out to me was the fact, and I knew this because I've got Zecharia Sitchin's books. I don't agree with him or his interpretations, but I find them interesting reading. It's the same as David Icke, you know, I don't really agree with him, but I have several of his books because I think they're entertaining, and I agree with some of it. If you look at these 12 orbits, Zecharia Sitchin, if you're not familiar with him, his theory is that there are 12 planets. Now, the reason that he says 12 is in the ancient Sumerian texts, the sun and the moon were considered to be a planet, and that would be 11, and then there's a 12th planet, Nibiru. Now, I don't know if anybody else knows anything about this, if anybody's more into astronomy, or maybe has studied more of things that Russell has written. I'm trying to read some more of his stuff. I just actually got a copy of the Divine Plan of the Ages, so I may do a review of that later. And if you want a copy of it, let me know. I can give you an address that you can go to and actually get your own copy of that book if you'd like to read it. Now, as far as this, though, as I said, you'll see 12 orbits, and according to Sitchin, there are 12 planets, so I don't know if anybody out there is more into astronomy and can explain this, or has read more of Russell's writings, or maybe, I don't think the movie really explains it. I didn't notice that it did. Now, here's the part that makes it even weirder. You'll see another elliptical orbit coming in from the left side. Now, that elliptical orbit is actually how Sitchin describes the orbit of the 12th planet, Nibiru, which would actually make 13 planets in this picture. It's weird enough that there are 12 regular kind of orbits here, but it's weirder that there's another orbit that exactly models how Sitchin describes it as being this very elongated elliptical orbit, but that's actually the 13th and not the 12th. So it's almost like Sitchin's map of the local galaxy plus one. So I'm really not sure. It's kind of odd. I'm just curious if anybody else could explain this. There may be some really obvious explanation that I'm overlooking. Like I said, I'm not an astronomer. I really don't know that much about those kinds of things. But if anybody out there can explain this or has comments on it, I'd be very interested to hear them. Because if there were only 11 regular orbits, and then that one from the left, I could say, wow, you know, he basically has there what Zecharia Sitchin would say decades and decades later, and that nobody else had postulated yet. So, you know, the guy really had some advanced knowledge that had not been released to the public yet. But then that extra orbit that knocks it from 12 to 13 kind of throws that off. You still see that Nibiru type elliptical orbit from the left, but then there's one too many heavenly bodies in the main orbit. So if anybody has any explanation or comments on this, I definitely appreciate it.
I feel so very weird.